How has that onboarding process been like for you joining the company?
It's been really easy. Like you both did a really great job at onboarding me.
What are the things that you want to see grow within the finance team?
I'm so more focused. What can the finance team do for other departments?
How has it been like for you in seeing the growth and the independence of each employee that you've trained along the way?
I'm more excited about the point where you guys start to teach your own people. Then I know like the scalability is taking shape.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Moments in Construction. Super excited to have revisiting guest Brandon Fernandez.
How's it going, guys?
And then today we also have Kyle Leach for the win, a new team member on the Prawdzik crew. Alrighty guys, well welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Doing good.
Better than last time. Last time I said I'm very tired. Today I actually feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I have a little adrenaline for the podcast. So.
Last time I remember you walking in needing a makeup touch. You needed some concealer, maybe a little blush. You were looking rough.
Yeah, it was definitely the tiredness, but I think it was also the lighting a little bit.
Yeah, the lighting doesn't help.
Let's use that as an excuse.
Alrighty, guys.
It was coincidentally the end of the quarter, first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that too. Brandon had...
So this is perfect.
Brandon, okay, so to preface this, yes, good context. Brandon it was his first time running the end of quarter review that we have with the strategy team. And it was his first time putting together the financial charts and just the summary of the quarter by himself. And so literally every day, I think back to back, he was up until 3 a.m. getting these charts into place where we could like talk about them. And so kudos to you. We've definitely, I hope, gotten way more efficient since then. Now that we have Kyle on the team, you have some extra help between the two of you, two brains.
You didn't even
better
introduce
than
Kyle
one.
yet.
What?
You didn't even introduce Kyle yet.
Yeah, I'm just
We're getting there.
we're getting there.
We got to gas
Damn,
over.
you want to leave already?
We got to gas
You don't
me
like
up
us?
first.
Yeah, I'm trying to hype them up.
I did
Come on
such
now.
a great job, but then we got to segue to Kyle afterwards.
Exactly. Alrighty, enough about you. Kyle, we're excited to have you here today. Kyle Leach, introduce yourself. Like, who are you? Where are you coming from? Tell us about yourself.
I am the associate financial admin now. I grew up in Lodi my whole life. I went to school with Brandon.
Shout out to Lodi.
Yeah, went to Lodi from kindergarten on. I always had like an interest in finance. Even back in high school, I took accounting classes and stuff. So like when I first went to college, I went to Caldwell to study accounting. I wound up transferring to Montclair, and then COVID hit. So then I wound up dropping out of school because it just wasn't really worth it for me. The money and everything. I didn't want to get myself into all that debt.
It wasn't efficient learning during COVID.
Yeah. So I just like started studying myself. I took a couple of exams, like the SIE exam and the Series 57, which is to become like a trader. So, because I've always had like an interest in trading. So yeah, I did that. I stopped that after a little bit. Got more into like investing and like that side of finance. And then, and then that led up to, Brandon reaching out to me and asking if I wanted a job. And now we're here.
I think that might also have to do with our relationship. I think we like the same thing.
Yeah,
I think that's why. Because me and Kyle used to hop on calls, be like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing in the stock market." I was like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing with commodities and currencies." So like we kept like going back and like forth with each other. And then we knew each other since I don't even know when. Middle school definitely.
Yeah.
And then high school we started getting close.
Yep.
And then the friend group kind of like stayed the same. Kyle was like one of those friends. Similar to Matt before I started working. Like me and Matt could go a period of time without talking. And then when I call him, it's like where we left off. Like there was never like, oh, like you're not really catching up. You just leave where you left off. So like we always had a good relationship.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about you guys. And Kyle, we've just started to get to know each other through the onboarding. And, now that we're mostly working virtual, we have to be more conscientious about the one-on-ones and talking to each other. But in the time that I've gotten to know you, it's really cool because while you're both interested in the same area of business and work and finance and accounting, you both attack it in such a different way. And I think, Brandon, you have more of the social touch, which is cool to watch, and on the investing side and building relationships. And Kyle, you do that in your own way as well, but you're also just superb at the technical component, which has been also very nice to see you complement each other in the same way that we've kind of had that in construction, I would say, too. So if you guys remember, we had Alberto and Vin on the podcast, and similar dynamic there. Very cool to watch. But anyway, Kyle, back to you on accounting. What is it about the area of study and your personality that you think aligned from the beginning and you decided to pursue that?
Honestly, I've always had like an interest in numbers. I don't know, like I hated English, I hated like social studies and all that other stuff, but like whenever it came to math, no matter what kind of math it was, I was just interested in it, and it clicked for me. It was easier to learn than other subjects. So I think that's kind of what drove me to want to study accounting, even though after I picked accounting, I was like, oh, like, because it's hard. So if I could have gone back and done it all over again, I probably would have done like economics or just finance in general. But
Got it.
yeah.
That brings up the question. I'm curious now because I know you guys met in 7th grade, and then you have brought in other people on the team that you met in high school. So what type of students were you guys in high school? Curious.
I was the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Like I was the troublemaker, but I was also like the people didn't like, they didn't doubt my intelligence, but like everybody knew I was intelligent because I was in honors classes.
Yeah,
But like, why is
exactly.
this? I got away with everything. Since I was in a class full of good students,
Yeah.
I was able to do whatever I want, but still get good grades. Because like you're the one like the troublemaker out of the bunch. But like I wasn't causing bad trouble. It was like, I was a funny guy.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I was a pretty good student. Teachers loved me. I was very sociable with obviously all the teachers. So like shout out to Jimmy Lou. He was had him. I was his first class ever. He was a great teacher. But yeah, I think me and Kyle both were very sociable. He was the captain of the football team. I just like talked to everybody. Yeah, I have to mention that. He was actually on the high school elevator. They actually put his a decal sticker of him playing on the elevator. So
I didn't know
and it's still
this.
there. It's still there.
We're in the presence of greatness today, people.
But yeah, we were both social butterflies. I did pretty good. I got like 4.0.
Yeah. Okay. Not surprised. Okay. Now I know I've heard a little bit about you two, but like share more about what type of student you were in high school.
Honestly, the exact same
Yeah,
way. Yeah,
okay.
like I would get away with murder in high school, like, mainly because I was
Yeah.
on the football team.
Football
and, like, you
team,
know,
yeah.
I was
Tall,
really close with all
charming.
the teachers.
Yeah.
I would like smooth talk them and like become like friends with the teachers. But I was a good student though. I had
Yeah.
good grades. I always had good grades in high school.
What about you, Matt?
Oh, I was a piece of shit. I didn't want to be there. I got in, got out with one objective. Got into school and left school. Like that's all I did. I rushed to the bus every time I left school. Like I did not want to be there whatsoever.
Were
but,
you the guy with the hoodie and
oh,
earpods
basically,
in?
not the AirPods. I wasn't
Okay.
that bad, but like yeah, like I was always kind of to myself. Didn't really do anything. I told all my teachers I don't do any homework. So I was by
we
just
didn't do
that
that.
nature. by that nature, I just was never an A+ student or I think my highest grade was like a B+ ever. But like by the first day of class, I always walked in. I said, "Listen, I'm here 8 hours a day. There's absolutely no fucking chance I'm gonna go home and work on school. Like, there's no way. When I'm here, I'm gonna work."
Yeah.
But again, they couldn't say anything because every test I ever did, I passed.
Yeah.
I passed every test with like flying colors. So I was never an A+ student because whatever, or A student because the grade was like 20% homework. So by nature, like automatically, I was never good. But whatever, it is what it is.
But now look, now you got your own company.
Yeah. Well,
You got a team now.
I asked this because it's interesting to know which traits we carry on just as human beings, and this is just our personality versus the things that we learn over time. So I do think for both of you, it's, just like the charm and sociability, but also just getting the work done, getting shit done. And then for Matt, it's just the transparency, like from the get-go, telling his teachers, hey, I'm not doing your homework for this class.
Yeah.
And I think you carry that transparency into the company today. And I think that allows for all of us to just be very open and I think vulnerable about the fact that, okay, hey, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
How can I make it better from here? So it's interesting, again, just to point out the personalities that we had in high school and how we carry that into adulthood. But anyway, back to the conversation. Kyle, how was the onboarding process like for you when joining the company, and how has it been since your first month? When did you start again?
May.
In May?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It was
we're
like
now
beginning of
in
May.
July. So how has that onboarding process been like for you joining the company?
It's been really easy. Like you both did a really great job at onboarding me. You helped me like with getting to understand what I had to like understand as far as my job role and all that other stuff. And then Brandon really helped me understand the finance side of it and get me acclimated with the whole process. So
Have you
really
learned
simple.
anything that you didn't know before?
Yeah, a lot. Mainly about like construction and real estate, because like finance, but you're doing finance for a real estate company for home builders, so it has its own aspect to things.
So you like learned the corporate finance of construction companies. Okay. All right, that's good.
Brandon, how did you find this gem? Why did we recruit him in the first place?
It's because I already knew he fit the boxes. Like when I would call him, he was already working on finance stuff when he's not directly working in the field. So if you're already actively doing things when you're not forced to, you're definitely going to do them when you are forced to. So it just made sense. I knew Kyle's work ethic. He didn't really like to be stagnant. He was always working on something when I called him. Always wanted to learn something just to get ahead of the curve. So and I always knew his personality. I knew he matched the culture. That's the biggest thing for Matt. Like, you need to fit the culture. If you don't fit the culture, you'll see your way out of it eventually. So, yeah, in the back of my mind, I always knew Kyle would come in handy. Me and Kyle always thought about business ideas together, even if it was just late night discussions. Like, it's always something. We're always talking about something. So, I knew he fit from the start.
There's something so rewarding about just surrounding yourself with people that want to talk ideas and motivations. Yes, it's fun to talk about the day-to-day and what's going on, but I think there's something extra fulfilling about those relationships where you're able to talk about, these are my dreams, motivations, goals, and coming out of those conversations just feeling energized. And I think that's the cool thing about where we work is we attract people like that. And because, Brandon, you have an abundance mindset, you said, oh, hey, like, I'm not going to feel intimidated by this guy. If anything, he's going to add value to the place that I'm working and my work, and we can both shine together. So it's something nice to watch. But Matt, how has it been like for you? You, from the beginning, have essentially trained all of us or most of us on the team. How has it been like for you in seeing the growth and the independence of each employee that you've trained along the way?
It's exciting. Like I'm more excited about the point where you guys start to teach your own people, right? Because then I'm like, okay, well then I don't have to. Then I know like the scalability is taking shape. The key thing to understand, the key thing to know is that I've tried my best to breed the mentality of, since day one, you are going to hire somebody. So whatever process you make sure that the process is not only applicable now, but applicable in the future, right? So that way, whenever like you think about it, always dive deeper into the underlying point. Like David, for example, now, right? I'm telling David, like, you need to be like, the underarching point of you getting on the phone with me so much is that you're getting on the phone with me because you're not catching what you're supposed to be doing fast enough, right? Like, you should be getting on the phone with me to tell me what you're implementing, right? Not me telling you what you need to be doing, because that means you're not doing your job effectively, because I shouldn't be telling you what to do in your department. You should be telling me what you're doing, right? So nonetheless, I mean, David's an example of someone that's still learning, so I'm not even going to, call him out on that drastically, but the concept is there, right? So like Brandon in the beginning, Brandon needs to tell me what the finance stuff that are happening is, not vice versa. And I told him, I said, you need to make sure that you're training and you're implementing ideas and flow and workflows and processes that are going to be scalable, because you're going to teach Kyle, and then Kyle's going to teach the bookkeeping to somebody else, and then so on and so forth. Because like I've always been saying, and I think you said it, and then I counteracted you. You're like, there's always going to need to be somebody that just does brunt work, works for a couple months or years, and then leaves. But when you're a startup company, you cannot afford to do that. You only need to hire managerial people, or else you're going to be stuck in a like a grunt, or like basic workflow type of person forever. Right? So the people you hire now need to be the people that are able to grow, able to scale, able to teach, smart. Like they are able to do that because that's how you set the down. Like that's how you start the snowball effect. And then later, when the company has 5, 6, 7, 800, 1,000 employees, then those grunt people come into play. Because then it's like, okay, well, we have such a massive ship that it doesn't even matter, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see where you're coming from. My mindset at the time was more so when you're in money crunch mode and you're not sure that you'll be able to, pay out certain invoices or contractors. And in addition to that, you're considering the growth of your employees and how much you can afford to increase their raise by, et cetera, and bonuses and such. So at a time where money crunch mode is happening, that's definitely, it's harder to see the long term at that
Yeah,
point.
but I can unpack that too. Like, okay, yeah, sure, you're in money crunch mode today. Most people, like I've always been saying, and whether you believe it or not, or whoever believes it, if you like what you do, money is a fraction of why you do it, right? You eventually like the growth of the company, right? So if you're going to pick a grunt over somebody that's able to grow, you always pick the person able to grow, because by nature, just the aspect of how involved that person is on a psychological and a operational level, with money being aside, because you can start both these people at the same pay, but this person is eventually going to reach a ceiling much faster than this person. And the growth or that extra delta of ceiling that this person is going to yield you, right, will generate you so much more money in business that you'll be able to pay that person and 10 times that, right? Whereas if you hired the grunt, yes, they're going to be cheaper and they're going to be willing to stay cheaper for longer. They're not going to generate the business that the company needs to grow to be able to scale and to be able to pay those invoices and employees and stuff like that. So no matter what, I've always been a thing of that. Like, you want to hire managers from day one if you're a company of less than 100 people, 50 people, let's say, right? Because by nature, those people will build such a big tree. Like if you think of the tree, right? As you hire more people, there's more one manager controls 5 people. Each 5 people control another 5 people, and so on and so forth. Again, and you want to make sure you're paying handsomely, because if you're making 100,000, then you're generating the company 500,000. And so on and so forth, right? And I mean, that's just a basic laws of economics and capitalism, right? You're never going to be paid what you're worth, or else the system breaks. So,
yeah,
anyway.
that's a great pivot into our conversation on, since you both have joined the team and since you were last here on the podcast in March, there's been a lot of implementations and improvements, especially within defining certain metrics and being able to display them visually to the rest of the team. So, for example, 2 of the key things that you both have recently worked on is salary cap and labor efficiency, as Matt has alluded to. So tell us a little bit more about that in combination with what Matt is mentioning. Why are these 2 key factors so important, especially for a young company that's filled with so much talent and a company that's looking to grow? So either of you.
Well, obviously they go hand in hand. Your salary cap is how much you can afford to pay your employees. Obviously, if you're not efficient, you're not producing as much profit for the company or revenue for the company as you should be, driving that salary cap up or down. So now, like, for example, on our weekly financial call on Wednesday, me and Kyle went over with the whole team. This is where our salary cap currently stands. This is where our labor efficiency ratio currently stands. This is where our labor efficiency ratio needs to be in order to uphold a certain net profit margin. Preferably, we want to be around a 15% net profit margin, as that is when your company is able to reinvest and grow further and onboard more employees. So yeah, we gave them how they could be more efficient. What are they doing that is possibly hindering us? You just go into the metrics, because at the end of the day, people, they go through the motions, but if you don't know the finance behind things and the reasoning, they're not going to resonate with it. So I don't know if you have anything to add with that, Kyle.
No, it's just good to have like those metrics to see, because everybody on the team can kind of get an understanding where we're coming from when we're doing, when we're building out these metrics and everything.
Yeah, and obviously, as we point out, like what they could be doing to become more efficient, their efficiency directly correlates to how much more money they can receive at the end of the year, due to the fact they drove up that salary cap. Yeah. So if our salary cap is only optimal enough to pay what we're currently paying, you can't expect a raise at the end of the year. because then we're going over budget technically, and driving the company down. So as you become more efficient, we're able to give more raises. We're able to onboard more people. We're able to grow faster. So
it goes back to what Brandon always says is like the finance team is indirectly correlated to every department. It's like when you set goals for the finance team, they can't be, they have to be isolated in a sense of, they're not operational goals, right? Like a marketing team can say, I'm going to implement this. A construction team is, we're going to execute on this. A sales team could be, I want to drive this much business through the door. An operation team could say, I want to build out these processes. A finance team can't say, I'm going to spend less money, or I'm going to make more money, or I'm going to do, like, they can't do that, right? They simply, they're the ones that sit down, do the data analytics, put it in layman's terms, in fifth grader terms, and say, okay, team, we're making this. This is why no one's justified to make more money, X, Y, Z, right? And they're the ones that put the data in black and white to say, listen, if you don't understand the operation, you definitely will understand this, because once it hits your pocket, that's when you start to really feel it. So, hey, like, you want to raise at the end of the year, you want to do this, you want to do that, no problem. But how do you expect us to do this when numbers don't lie and this is what this is saying, right? So to my point, going back to what I was saying, the finance team is the data, and they're the data crunchers that then bring it back to the team and say, okay, this is why this is justified. This is why it's not justified. Hey, we're running too hot. Hey, we're running too lean. Hey, we're running perfect, like whatever. So it's just taking the numbers on a spreadsheet, narrowing them down, and then putting together a fifth grader summary of what it means, right? Saying, okay, we want to hit 15 million in revenue. Okay, let's back into that. How many houses is that, right? Because when you tell somebody like on the construction team, hey, our target annual revenue for 2025 is going to be 20 million, they look at that like, oh my God, it's a lot of fucking money, right? But if you break it down, like, okay, well, that's only really 13 homes plus any other revenue streams, right? So thinking about that kind of analogy, really that comes down to that. Like the finance team is meant to derive that information. That's exactly what salary cap and labor efficiency is. It doesn't do anything for the company, but showcase everybody how they're performing in black and white, and then saying, hey, this is where that number is. This is where it's going. Here's how it's pivoting. So that's really the importance of it is everybody needs to understand what they're doing and how it affects them at the end of the day, right? Because it's your company at the end of the day, right? You can either be greedy and ask for a raise and quit if you don't get one, or understand that you haven't generated enough money for the raise, and then say, okay, well, I'm willing to forego that, and I'm going to be more efficient, so that way the company can afford to pay me more in the future. Because if there's no company, there's no job for me. Unless you're just like a hop skip kind of mindset where you're like, oh, fuck it, I'll just find something else.
This is a great point that I want to ask you guys, Kyle and Brandon. So I feel we probably all get the question a lot for people not within the company. Externally, why do you do so much work for X amount of pay? What is it about this role or this company that makes you so excited to get things done? What is your answer to that when people externally are questioning, hey, why do you do so much for this company?
For me personally, it's just growth and culture. If we didn't have the culture, I wouldn't be here. I'm not going to work as much as I do. Mm-hmm. Work is, you work to live, not live to work. So I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for the culture. The culture is what, drives my motivation, and along with the growth of the potential growth of the company, which at this point, I know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. We have no choice but to grow at this point.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, I would definitely say growth for sure. And then I would also say just the basic fact that I enjoy what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, and Matt mentioned it before, like when you enjoy doing something, it's easy to do. So
absolutely. It's so funny you guys say this, because in hearing you say it, I realize, oh, wait, I can see how this can sound a little cultish to a degree, but I think honestly, any good work culture to a certain extent is a cult. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the cult and culture, so I think it's interesting that you say that, yes, are we borderline workaholics, some more than others, for sure. But I think it's
Yeah, but
also
that also gives the age group, right? Like our average person is 20-something years old,
this is true too.
right? So it's like, okay, yeah, you have Beto exception, has kids. Vin just got married, he's a little older. Hugo's obviously a little older. Like
I
Hugo's
think
the
you
oldest person.
put it well the other day. It's not so much age; it's more spirit. We're all young spirited.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, 100%. Couldn't, yeah. Even John works a lot, kills it. Even Tommy's side, right? The rental side. Tyler, I mean, they're basically all high school kids that they grew up together, right? So I don't know. I agree.
Yeah. Well, bringing it back to the informing the team and the transparency and the importance of financial education so that the rest of the team knows which line on the statement they touch and what they impact through their work. How important have the Wednesday calls, do you feel, been as a part of this education process?
I think they've been pretty critical.
Yeah, definitely.
We need to, because at the end of the day, we have so many numbers. They're not going to understand the numbers, nor do they need to understand the numbers. They need to understand what the numbers mean. So we basically just, not so much dumb it down, but dumb it down. You dumb it down, you put it into charts, you put it into visuals, because obviously visuals are like pleasing and they're easy to understand. So during the weekly calls, we go over that, go over visuals, what we need to do, how we got these visuals, why they are the way they are. And then we also on Monday have the live tracker, which we run down the metrics, such as how much revenue we brought in this month, how much gross profit, what's our OPEX, what our payroll costs were, et cetera, and then how much profit we yielded. So on a monthly basis and a weekly basis, as you can see, it increasing every week, the team knows where we stand and how we're going and the trajectory.
Yeah, and everyone has access to it. So even if they didn't join the meeting, they have access to it so they could check whenever they want. So.
And it's at a slow and steady pace too. Like you do the Wednesday meetings, once a week. It's not like you're shoving it down their throats. Like they get to learn at a nice slow pace. I feel like they'll grasp it more.
That's true too.
And kudos to you, Kyle. You did your first, or helped in leading the first training this past week. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you.
What I do appreciate is I know you both are in the numbers every day and you're just in the sauce. The nice thing when Matt is on the calls is he kind of pulls it back for a minute from the technical and specific, and he always reminds us of the greater question: why is this important? How does this impact you? So it's a good balance to have, especially when you're in it all the time. It becomes so natural to you, and just TTM, CCC, all these initials, and so it's helpful, Matt, when you again take it a step back and explain to the rest of the team why this is relevant to us. So with that, what is your goal ultimately through these financial trainings for the rest of the team?
It's really the next chart that they're working on. It's basically a chart. I forget what's it called. It's called SA. What do the acronyms stand
The
for?
growth rate one.
Oh, the SGR.
What's that stand for?
The
LOL, the LMFAO,
Self-growing
ROTFO.
self-financeable growth.
Self-financeable growth. So there's data that we're putting together where it's basically, in layman's terms, it's how fast can your company afford to grow, and we're going to determine the delta. Like if we could have afforded to grow, and we're going to do this, I'm assuming since January, or we're going to do it from today's date on. Or can we do historical data too?
We might be able to go back.
You can go back because you could see back then what you should have been
So
growing
since
at,
January,
and then you can backtrack to how much we were actually doing and
we're
see the
gonna
delta
have-
month over month.
Yeah, so we're going to have a month-over-month chart of basically your self-financing growth rate versus your actual growth rate. So you'll be able to see, okay, either we're running too hot or we're running under, or we're not growing as much as we could be growing. And then that delta, we're going to establish why that was. Right. So, for example, it's again, you can literally make every single questionable item operationally and or in the team a number-driven decision. Right. So the self-financing growth rate is going to say, okay, your company could have afforded to grow 40% in the month of May, but you only grew 20%. Why did we not grow to the full capacity of 40? Right. Something is fucked up in the system enough to say, okay, we're not growing at enough. Or, hey, we grew 25%, but we could have only afforded to grow 17%. Why are we running hot? Right? Like what's the situation here? Right? And again, it's going to be very cool to see when you compare the two. Like I'm envisioning a line graph, right? One line that represents your actual self-financing growth rate, and one that represents your actual growth rate, and the delta, the area between the two, whatever it's going to be, we have to. That's that part. Like I was mentioning before, the finance team isn't responsible to come up with the action plan to make the self-financing growth rate and the growth rate line up. That's the team's job. The finance job is simply to say, hey, you motherfuckers aren't doing enough. You know, like you guys aren't working enough. You guys aren't giving enough effort, because we could have afforded to grow 30%, but we only grew 15% or 20%. So why is the difference? And that's when on the Wednesday calls or on the strategy team meetings or whatever, we say, okay, what is inefficient here? Why are we not growing at the fullest capacity? Because ideally, you don't want to be within less than a 5% delta. I would like to be. Right? If we can afford to grow 40, I don't want to be growing with anything less than 35, right? Because again, there's no reason for us to be doing that. But that's my most exciting thing. Like all these previous spreadsheets and all these previous charts, which Brandon and Kyle did a great job in making, like all the numbers in our databases kind of UI friendly and very like nice to see and look at, as long as you're able to understand the data. All of these charts led to this main important chart, because it's basically taking your cash conversion cycle, right? And determining, okay, based on how fast you rotate cash, you're able to recycle the money to further your growth. But we ran into a situation, and I'm not going to over-explain it, we ran into a situation last week where we were reviewing it, and the cash conversion cycle that was derived is indirectly not the right one, because we subsidize and we utilize debt to grow our company, right? So even though you can't call that self-financing, right? In a real estate business, it is, because you are using real estate to its benefit, which is leverage, right? So you need to leverage a business in real estate. You need to utilize leverage in a business of real estate, because that's the whole point of you getting into that business. If you didn't want to use leverage, you'd start a fucking cookie making business. Right? Like there's no point of you having an asset that you're not going to utilize, you know? So anyway, long story short, that's really the most exciting part, is that self-financing growth rate comparative to what we're actually growing at. And who knows, maybe I don't know the data yet. I would like to believe we're growing within that 5% delta, but once they put that chart together, you can literally explain almost any variation of growth or any variation of issues or any variation of positive or negative efficiency in that data. But you couldn't do it until you came up with all the other shit they were working on. So there's a lot. There's a lot that, even since Kyle came aboard, I mean, the amount of data we have is night and day. It's night and day. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see. It's exciting what we're going to do with that data. It's more exciting too. So.
I think with information like that, especially when you look back, it's easy to ruminate on mistakes you made or decisions that you wish you would have taken differently. Mm-hmm. However, I think now that you as a finance team have put together this data or these data, and you've been able to pinpoint the factors or the metrics that we want to use moving forward to improve, I think that has made all the difference, because I think it helps narrow our focus and helps determine what the major rocks are within the company and what we want to pursue. However, at the same time, through the realization of new metrics or new information, I think we've run the risk of maybe steering away from our goals a little bit that we set toward the beginning of the year, versus we're only, 6-7 months in and we've already altered them a bit. So how do you strike the balance between setting a goal and working toward it versus adjusting based on new information that you're learning from your metrics? And how have we done that as a company? This goes out to any of the finance team here.
For the most part, we're going to keep them the same, correct? Like we're going to keep in, if we hit it, we hit it. If we don't, we don't. But we're pretty much in target to fall just shy of what should have been for this year.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we perform to what we're supposed to do, yeah. Because again, our accounting principles have changed. So this year is a very
pivotal.
Yeah, it's a pivotal year, but it's also like a very different year in a sense of like we set goals with one thing, and now we are completely like night and day different. So you can't even expect the same goals, or you can't even expect to be within the same mindset of having the same goals. You know, so like one of our finance goal or one of our key goals in the company was to generate a certain amount of gross profit, right? Though we might not be operationally able, or maybe we're not operationally executing on the homeowner projects, or I mean, not homeowner projects, just projects in general, we're still going to be able to hit close to that goal because of the way that we're now taking income, right? Or how we do our books now, basically, right? So it might be close, right? Paying down our balance sheet might also be not a very good goal because, like Brandon said in the past, you're by nature, as you grow, your accounts payable is always going to go up, right? That's like saying Toll Brothers has accounts payable of 0. No, they have accounts payables of hundreds of millions of dollars because that's like you need the account payable to go up. So that's not really a good goal either, right? So we've pivoted, like, but now with the metrics that we have, the finance team goals specifically are going to be more focused around data analytics and deriving data, and then coming up with ways to make it more efficient and effective, right? So back to your question, I always use this and I always keep saying this, we are a fishing boat. We cannot afford to stick to gung-ho goals all the time because we always need to change and pivot. If one thing tells us to do this, we need to move and do that. That's the benefit of running a small team, is that you're able to take and steer the ship in another direction very quickly, right? And sometimes it's the right decision, sometimes it's not. But that's the beauty of it. If it's not the right decision, we just pivot to another decision, right? Which is not the worst thing in the world. Yes, sometimes you could throw the team off, but when you're a big company, 1,000+ people or whatever, and you're a cruise ship, it takes you a long time to move, right? So that's why companies sometimes fall, right? In my opinion, is that they take too long to pivot in a fast-changing business environment, right? So they maybe make a business decision, right? Like for example, we were analyzing this company, Paramount, right? Paramount decided to go into live streaming, and they got destroyed for it. But again, they were doing great with what they were doing, but they decided to take a pivot towards a different type of business, which everyone was doing. Netflix was doing, Peacock was doing, whatever, all those other streaming TV shows.
Yeah.
So they decided to do it. And their stock and their company value just got destroyed. But now they're on the brink of getting bought out potentially, right? Again, I'm not using our company as an analogy here, but nonetheless, like they were a big company that made the decision, but by the time they realized the decision was bad, it took them, they've already suffered such a big loss, and it took them too long to pivot back to doing something that they were working in the past. So to your point, setting goals is great. You want to have something you're aiming for, but as a small company, you want to be nimble enough to say, okay, this is not going to work anymore. We got to go here. I mean, CEO stands for what? Chief
Executive officer.
No, not that. It's change every often or something like that.
Oh.
It's like it stands for something like that. Like your goal as a CEO is to change very frequently because you need to do something different, or else you're just going to stagnate your growth, right? And maybe that one thing that you implemented originally isn't like 100% the best thing, or maybe it hasn't seen light yet, but you're already trying to change it. You know, that's something that you need to battle. That's the battle back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that's the real question.
Absolutely.
Is when do you decide to, okay, like I've thought of a variation, we're going to do this, but maybe we need to do this way and then change it this way a little bit. I mean, we don't have established processes in every aspect. So anything you think of, it's just going to be a never ending learning curve, you know? So I don't know, just kind of.
Absolutely. And while we're not Paramount, and as you said, we're by no means,
A cruise ship.
It's interesting because I think at the very opposite end of the spectrum, because we're so small, it can be so tempting to say, oh, let me dip into this pot. Let's try this. And, let's see how this works out. Additional services, this and that. Or let's say, for instance, whatever other projects come up, or as they say, the shiny red dress, it's difficult, I think, for any company to determine in that moment what is the shiny red dress. And I think that's why it's so important for a company, a small company like us, to be clear on what it is that we do and our mission and the audience and people that we serve, which is, I can understand why such an important thing that you brought up to the team is, who is our audience? What are our services? What are our key distinguishers? Because if you don't have a clear understanding of who it is you are as a company and entity, you're going to be pulled left and right into all of these tempting opportunities. And so, yes, I do think on the other end of the spectrum, it can mean that because you're smaller, maybe you move a little too quickly, which is why I think it's good that we have, the team sometimes versus Matt. Matt, I think sometimes you want to move super quickly and say, hey, let's go try this. And by the time we're all still getting on board with that one thing, you've already shifted over to another. But I also think that's really good because it keeps us all accountable and it keeps us all excited about implementing and constantly trying to improve the process, which is something that you've embedded within anyone that you hire. But with that being said, I want to hear from Kyle and Brandon. So what are some of the things that you're excited in venturing this coming quarter or this rest of the year in terms of growth? What are the things that either you personally want to grow in or you want to see grow within the finance team?
You want to go first, Brandon, with this?
I'm so more focused, what can the finance team do for other departments? Like, I'm starting to see that the construction department is becoming way more efficient in terms of knowing when to tell me and schedule payments. Negotiate, and foresee possible inefficiencies. For example, the construction team came to me, they're like, Brandon, we have to do this. It costs X amount of money. We need this by this date. We plan out when we need it. And then we also have other scenarios. We can go with this contractor, this contractor do this part, and then we have somebody come in and finish the rest. And then me, Beto, Vin will outlay, whatever, what the possible inefficiencies of that process could be, and is the cost savings worth that possible inefficiency that we can experience? Is it going to set our project timelines and dates backwards just to save a little bit of money? Because at the end of the day, we are a construction company, we're home builders. We do have an interest burden on this debt that we take out in order to produce the construction that we are doing. We want to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
So me and Beto are getting way better at determining what is the best course of action in any stage of construction that we're at.
That's my favorite, is overhearing conversations between Brandon and Beto is boss, and they just go at that for like a whole 30 seconds before actually getting into the call, which is really sweet to see. But I think if anything that it makes me excited because us as a team, it means we're growing and we're becoming more confident in our role where we feel we can reach out to each other for answers first before going to the fearless leader, CEO, how can we problem solve and troubleshoot by ourselves amongst ourselves? So very exciting to see. What about some personal goals? What do you have going on this quarter?
To touch back on that, it's funny that you mentioned that we don't so much run to Matt anymore. Like I was on the phone with Beto and we were explaining a situation on the job
Because I
site.
yelled at Beto. I'm like, Beto, I want to fucking hear this, man.
And
I don't have time for this
we were
bullshit,
explaining
man.
the possible scenarios. I'm like, Beto, no matter what, we need to get this done. You know that, I know that. And if I ask Matt, he's gonna say, ask Beto. He's a construction manager. And then if you need something paid, ask Brandon. So at the end of the day, it's not Matt anymore. It's me and you. So like, it's what we want to do. Matt trusts us to do the right decision. And at the end of the day, if we do the wrong decision, it's not going to break the company. It's going to be a learning lesson.
I was telling Brandon this. I remember I was at the gym that one time where Brandon was questioning our integrity because we weren't paying a guy. And now he's like, fuck, Amico, wait. I'm telling you, see, that's my point. It's like, until you're in it, for me to sit there and start yelling at Brandon for him not understanding, I'm like, he's going to eventually learn it. And he learned it, so it's fine. But yeah, it's that. It's like, it's not that we don't have integrity or not uphold our core values because we're having a guy wait. Like, the integrity is that, hey, you're going to get paid. We're just in a situation we can't pay you right now. That's the integrity part, But anyway, it's funny. It's funny how the wheel goes around. So, but yeah, you're right. A little bit of me bred into everybody.
Yes. Okay, we're not going to dodge the question here. I asked you what your personal goals are for this quarter.
Personal. I know my team goals.
You have a life outside of Prawdzik?
Very simple life.
Get some good fishing trips in.
Fishing,
trip.
spending time with family.
Kyle started going to the gym.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you?
I have a-
Oh.
Sick.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
that's a new thing we implement. So that would be a personal goal for me and Kyle / company goal, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to take care of yourself if you're gonna take care of somebody's company. Yeah. You know. So one thing Matt has been doing, and I've been doing for a while too, is we always work out. And then we were in the car the other day. We're like, Kyle, do you have a gym membership? He goes, no, I work out at home. He goes, you need a gym membership. You and Brandon are gonna go the same time as me at 12 o'clock, and you're gonna work out every single day. Besides maybe like 1 off day, 2 off days in the week, maybe Saturday, Sunday, because you know we do need our personal time, family time, etc. But yeah, so like I'm excited for that.
He wanted to set like a fitness goal. Like
Oh,
getting,
yes.
yeah, like having the team like buy into like, okay, who can get
The biggest transformation.
Yeah,
I
yeah, like
basically
something like that,
want the
something like
whole
that.
team to get together, display what your goal is. At the end of the day, Matt is not going to try to get leaner. He's lean. He has abs. He works out every day.
He should try
He's good.
to. He should try to put on a few pounds.
to be
if
honest,
I'm gonna get
anything.
fat for you.
To be honest,
I'm gonna get fat for
to
you.
be honest,
motherfuckers.
he's the leader and the example, so he's excluded from this competition to begin with, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we should be achieving what the leader is. So
No, but in the same way that there are things we aspire, I'm sure there are things that we all have room to grow. So,
of course.
In the same way that we have fitness goals, I'm sure Matt would have other goals, such as
Yeah, but if we're gonna do a fitness related goal, then I'll come up with something.
Yeah.
I'll put on a few pounds.
maybe
don't worry. I
walk,
can
maybe
eat-
run a 5K instead of walking the 5K. That would be somewhere to. We did a team 5K. Matt brought Buster. He walked the entire thing. Did not even try running. He's like, I'll outwalk you all just through my pace for
Yeah.
any of you running. So I don't know. I just
I
thought that
lost
was
though,
funny.
but it's fine. But I'll do like sprinting. I hate people, not people that jog, but I hate joggers,
You
man.
heard it here. He hates people.
I hate people that jog. Like sprint, just do sprints. Like I will sprint, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do like something around boxing. Maybe I'll do my first fight,
that's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
boxing fight. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted the team to get together, outline like say what your goal is, and then whoever has the biggest transformation towards that goal, either gets a prize, etc.
We should have a team football
Recognition.
day.
No, I'm
Flag
good. I'm
football,
good with
right?
that.
I'm taking
I'm good with
Beto. Beto's on my team.
It'll
I'm
be
good
like
with
the
that.
time we did paintball. Wait, so we did paintball back last summer, a year ago now. And you have me on the bus, like doing all this shit talking. Oh, like I'm gonna get you this and that. We get on the field, all the guys, no mercy, just came shooting at me first. I was like, wow.
I want to do that again, but this time not in the heat of summer.
Yeah.
Like it's like perfect, like Thanksgiving time. Oh,
Yeah.
it'd be perfect. And we still have like that day pass until December.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I'd be ready for that type of betrayal again, but
Betrayal.
What about you,
didn't go
Kyle?
out.
Huh?
I hit you like 4 times. You didn't go out.
Like we said, it slid off. It didn't actually hit me. Anyway, Kyle, what about you? What goals do you have going on this quarter, personal or on the finance team?
Personal but related to the finance team is just learning construction. I want to like master that by the end of this quarter, because that'll help me.
I'm still mad.
Well, maybe not master it, but like as far as I need to in order to
Yeah.
be more efficient at the bookkeeping process.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tie into that. Yeah.
For sure. There's
Definitely.
endless amount of categories.
Yeah.
Rough masonry, finished masonry. What's the difference? Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
We gotta start
Okay.
getting Kyle on the job sites.
Yeah. You should.
that-
You should.
honestly,
I've
yeah.
been shadowing Beto. It's actually so cool to just see how much he's learned and
You do it once a
see
week?
him. I do once a week, so you should.
Yeah,
Again,
that would help me a lot. So
I think that would be cool.
Kyle can come with me when I go to Scotch Plains to do the draws.
It's Scotch Plains.
Yo,
yeah,
you
that would
could
be good.
You guys like can switch. Maybe you do Beto. Maybe then one day Vin. You do Vin.
No,
Beto.
I'm calling dibs on Beto already.
I see them all the time because when I go to take the draw, I saw Vin the other day. I didn't see Beto. I think Beto came after I left. But yeah, I saw Vin, talked to Vin. I talked to the excavation team. Talked to Jay. He's a pretty cool guy. Shout out to Jay Miller.
Yeah, I just met him the other day. I went because I went to a site and he was so cool.
Yeah, he's exactly my personality.
Yeah.
I followed him on Instagram. He loves BMWs.
Yeah.
He loves
Jay, if
dirt
you're
biking.
listening to this, come grab a drink with us. We want to get to know you more. But But okay, I think that's it. Is there anything else we want to add or say to the crowd for today?
Yeah.
Share a finance goal. So that way you have like a look back.
Should I mention the pitch deck?
Yeah, sure, but I wouldn't talk about too much detail, but just say we have a pitch deck coming up or something
Yeah.
like that.
Basically, we're just gonna put all our financial data into one pitch deck in case we ever want to raise capital, etc.
Yeah.
Very
But that's gonna be even for our internal facing. Like, it's good to have something that exemplifies all our financial data in one spot, so our whole team can just look at it and be like, okay, this is basically how we're doing. This is where we're projected to go in the future. So they have a vision.
Yeah, we need it up a refresher every quarter, just like we need to refresh the design package every quarter.
Yeah.
We need to that needs to be like when we have our company financial, like your quarterly financial presentation should be the pitch deck.
Yeah.
Or like similar.
Yeah.
But yes, we need that. We definitely
Pitch
need that.
deck's more annual, and then obviously quarterly we should be breaking down.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, just create the vision, because even like Erika was saying, we're so caught up in the day-to-day finances that even when we do the weekly calls, Matt pulls us back and says, okay, this is what it means 3 to 5 years from now. I don't think 3 to 5 years. I think maximum 1 to 2 years, because I'm so in the now that it's hard for me to think out of the box sometimes. And obviously, Matt sees every aspect of the company. He has a better understanding, and he drives the vision for all of us. So he knows the vision already a little bit before we catch on to it.
Yeah, it's like that's the operation thing I was telling Erika. Like, you need to understand everything to know how to make it better. You just have to, just what you have to do.
But yeah, I just want the finance team to keep growing. I feel like
That could be a goal, a category goal. Make the vision.
yeah.
And then we could set like 2 or 3 goals under that of what we want to achieve. I don't
Yeah.
know. Could be an idea.
One thing with the live tracker, me and Kyle are going to update it. We're going to put a bunch of visuals, because obviously people love visuals. We're going to put our vision. We're going to put our mission statement. We're going to put our core values, how every line item on our TTM
Yeah, I already have an idea of what I
Align-
want you guys to come
aligns
up with
with
the prototype, but I have an idea of what I
each
want to do.
department, and just get everybody immersed in the vision, because the vision is what makes work exciting. Because if you don't have a vision,
It's caca.
it's just you're going through the motions, and eventually you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
So basically, I just want the finance team to continue growing. We killed it this quarter. We're probably going to kill it next quarter and the quarter after that. And then by that time, we're going to have somebody else onboarded, keep killing it.
Yeah, and we have a lot of homeowner projects coming up. A lot of potential.
Slaying all around. Love to hear it.
Yeah, we have a lot of homeowner projects coming up.
And definitely start achieving some personal goals. Now that we're doing some great company goals, now we're starting to do the fitness, just dabble into everything.
And we do a good
Improve in every aspect.
We do a good job with team energy, team events. Every quarter we've been on it. We do something, even if it's a dinner. We do something, right? We talk about our financials. We talk about our stuff, transparency. So again, I like it. I mean, it's been good. But I do think we need like I was saying, and like you said, if you're gonna work as much as you do, you need to keep your body and your mind in check. Like it's you need it. Like that's why I go to the gym in the middle of the day, because it cuts my day into 2. Like it's a deloader.
Yeah.
Like give me all the garbage in the morning. We'll go to fucking box it all out.
Reset.
I'll reset in the afternoon, and I get my most productive work done at night. My most productive work, like in terms of Asana, in terms of spreadsheets, in terms of data analytics. Like once I'm in that month where I'm dealing with finance alone, I'm gonna audit the fuck out of your spreadsheets. Man.
Gotta love those 3 a.m. notifications from Matt. If you're not waking up with 3 a.m. notifications, something's wrong.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But okay, with that, thank you guys, Kyle, Brandon, for joining us today on episode 8 of Moments in Construction. Always so cool to have you guys. Hope you're back soon, and excited to hear about the growth and new learnings the next time we check in. With that, thank you everybody for joining us for episode 8, and give us a like, a thumbs up. It goes a long way, and we'll see you next time.
Remember, that's the camera for everybody.
I always mess it up.
It's okay. We'll
Do it that way?
We'll zoom in on her when she's out.
Okay. It's just these were at a different angle, so I just kept looking at that one the
No,
whole
that's yours.
time.
That's fine. That was for everybody.
2. Spin it.
Okay, wait. I could do it for this
What
one.
the fuck? What is that? Why is everyone saying that? I'm so
She
confused.
went like viral on TikTok.
Wait, what is it?
saying
It's How To Girl.
Hot two girl? What is that?
I don't, everybody's been
She was
saying
getting
that.
like
Like, what the
interviewed
fuck
on
is
the
that?
street. She probably just came out of the bar. They're like, blah,
Wait.
blah.
I got to do the outro. All right. With that, thanks for joining us for episode 8 in Moments in Construction. Again, Kyle, Brandon, thank you again for joining us, and we're excited to have you next time. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. It goes a long way. Thank you, guys. See you next time.